So we've made it. We're here at Hamilton Island. We're excited to be here. It's been an unbelievable trip. We've really enjoyed it. It's been everything we could ever hope for and more. We just wanted to close off what we've done with this video here and just go through some of the things that we've really enjoyed and maybe some of the things that might have surprised us a little bit. One thing that we really focused on with this trip was not just the beeline to Hamilton Island. We had this opportunity to do this trip. The weather looked like it was going to play a part for us and give us a bit of help. We decided that we really wanted to enjoy and go on a bit of an adventure more than just a straight up trip to Hamilton Island. So we had a good look at some key points of what we wanted to do. We really wanted to fish. We wanted to go on a bit of an adventure. We wanted to maybe stay at some marinas and then also find some really nice anchorages as well, so we could really mix it up a little bit. Another thing that we focused on is we didn't want to do massive days. We wanted to try and keep it under about 120 nautical miles per day, which we achieved really well just by looking at our GPS, looking at the times, the distances, what was a good anchorage or a marina, having a really good idea of where we were. It didn't go exactly as we expected with where we stayed and what we did. Sometimes we had better weather than we expected. We beelined a little bit more to cut into the next day, and we ducked and shoved a little bit with that. But all in all, everything basically went to plan on what we were hoping for. We knew there would be a few sections of the trip that could be something that we'd have to really take a bit more attention to and treat a bit more as a hazard, I suppose. One thing that we've really realized is tides are crucial for when you're doing this sort of trip, and as you go further north, the tides get bigger and bigger. So when there is an area that is typically a shallower area, it's very important to approach that area at the right tide so you've got maximum depth under you.
We had to look and plan our start of the trip because we wanted to go up the inside of Stradbroke Island. There's really only one hazard going through there, which is a little place just before Jacob's Well called the Shoals. It's only shallow for about 100 meters or so, but you really need to make sure you've got enough water under the boat because you definitely do not want to touch there. I guess other than that, going further forward, the next hazard we had to tackle was coming through Wide Bay Bar. There's some really cool land markers that you can line up. The lights change from green to red and then white when you're in the center of them. They're definitely going to help you come through that bar with a lot more safety. And you want to try and plan the bar on an incoming tide. And it's not always possible, but if you can do it on an incoming tide, it's generally going to smooth the waves out a little bit better and make it a lot safer for crossing. As you go through the bar, I think the next place we went up through Sheridan Flats, and that got really shallow. On approaching there, it was just, we could see the bottom, and rather than risk it, we're like, let's just pull up, throw the anchor out, we'll have a bit of lunch. No, we waited an hour till we had enough water under the boat. So that was really cool. Then we pulled into Hervey Bay, quick refuel, overnight stay, where the next destination was Fitzroy. What did we learn about Fitzroy?
Fitzroy was amazing. We were excited about Fitzroy, so we wanted to go fishing. But Fitzroy is a real adventure. So when you live on the east coast of Australia and you've got the opportunities to use motor yachts like this, you've got unlimited opportunities of where you can go and what you can do. Fitzroy is one of those bucket list sort of places. It was 100 nautical miles, sort of almost straight out in a basically heading away from land for most of that period with a slight dog leg to get to the actual reef there. When we got there, our main goal was to fish. One thing that we did realize with these hazards and with our fishing is how good our GPSs are. So when we got to these areas that we knew would be shallow, our GPSs are giving fantastic tidal information, but also the mapping so detailed that we really felt comfortable with where we were and knowing that we had enough water under the boat. When we got to Fitzroy, there was a lot of green zones around that area, so we knew where we could and couldn't fish. A green zone basically means that you're not allowed to fish in that area. You have to be out of that section to drop your line in. We got the Rex Hunt Prodigy next door to us here, so Brent knew exactly where to go, what bait to use. We sat on the spots and we just literally reeled fish in for the next couple of hours before we went inside the reef itself. That was one of the biggest highlights of the trip. It was unbelievable. We wanted to get into Fitzroy while it was still daylight because it's such clear blue water and there's this beautiful reef that exposes out to get you in. We could clearly see our channel to get in, but you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, when you're coming into Fitzroy, if you're doing it in low light situations, you can't see the reef on either side, and it is very narrow. Even though it is well channel marked, if you've got very strong incoming or outcoming tide, it is going to have an effect on the boat. So you just want to be mindful of that. Once you're inside Fitzroy, there's a lot of sand, there's a lot of bommies. So I guess one thing we learned in particular was anchoring in there. So there's lots of sand to anchor in there. There are a couple of swing moorings, but it is a quite popular place, so you may not get a swing mooring. So be mindful when you're anchoring. What we found for this trip is we run on a ratio 7-to-1, and you really got to watch the swing, especially if there's a wind change or whatnot and there's a bombing nearby. If your boat swings around and your chain is out, you don't want to get caught up on that bombing. That would be disastrous. What else did we learn, Shawnee?
Yeah, so that was interesting, and to get that line to go into Fitzroy and have with our GPS to leave that trail, it gave us the option that if we didn't have perfect light when we were leaving, so we had a big day that next morning to clock up some kilometres, we had a really nice trail showing us the direction that we went in. Yeah. So we were very confident leaving Fitzroy. Inside there was unbelievable. Like everything from the colour of the water to that quaint, still beautiful stars, but the activity in the water with sharks and all sorts of things was really amazing. We had a ball there. But when we woke up in the morning, we did have a big day in front of us. We wanted to get to Yeppoon. When we left Fitzroy, actually, to be fair, we did a bit of fishing before we left. It wasn't as successful as the day before, but it was great. Coming into Yeppoon, that was where we really started to see the big tides. So we went in low tide, and ultimately it was very tight for us. The tides were huge. I don't know if they're 4 meters or what they are, but if we went in from a quarter tide up, we could have just steamed straight in, no problems. But on that low tide, we had to be very, very careful of our depth under us. We were super slow. When you feel like you're in those lower areas, just in and out of gear, as slow as possible. We got our fuel in the boat, and at one stage we were half thinking that's where our station would be, that's where we would stop for the night. But there was plenty of sunlight left, beautiful weather, so we kept trucking. And that is something that we did notice when we left Yeppoon, was what we could see on our tracks and going through our GPS when we were plotting, that most of our shallow hazards, or all of them, were gone from there. Yeah. So we just had to keep those kilometres ticking down and keep heading down this direction. Thinking about the things that we learnt from when we left to where we are today. Yep. One thing that you mentioned a minute ago was anchoring. That 7-to-1 ratio I would have thought was quite a lot. So at night, that 7-to-1 ratio, but factoring in the drop from the bow of the boat to the waterline, and also factoring in the tide change from when you get there as well. Yeah. So if the tide's still got to go up 2 meters, you got to let out 2 meters to make sure that you've got enough for when the tide changes. So we really enjoyed the anchoring, because you're in the middle of nowhere and you've got those beautiful nights with the beautiful stars and everything, and you have your cookout and the barbecue, and that's real boating, you know, that's fantastic. The other thing that we learnt, which we sort of knew would happen, but it was worse than we thought, was we actually installed Starlink on the boat prior to when we left, but we've had an issue with it and we couldn't have it completely working before we left. We don't have a Wi-Fi booster on board, and we don't have a phone reception booster either. So we had no external Wi-Fi and no phone boosting coverage, and we couldn't use the Wi-Fi to run through WhatsApp or whatever we wanted to do. So we were basically out on the lurch from heading out to Fitzroy. On the way out, we lost reception. Yep. The whole night at Fitzroy, 90% of the way back to Yeppoon, till we got close to Yeppoon, we had reception for a little bit. Yeah, it wasn't the best at Yeppoon. No, it was sketchy, yeah. And then when we left Yeppoon and we went to, was it Pearl Bay? Yeah, we had a... Zero, nothing there, was there? Absolutely nothing. And then we thought we would start to see more reception coming closer to Hamilton Island, but even when we stayed last night, where were we? Scawfell Island. Zero reception
Zero
again.
reception.
So we basically haven't had phone reception for the last 4 days.
Super important, you've got to have it.
Which is critical. So we user error. As I said, we've installed Starlink, but it hasn't worked out for us just yet. We'll have that done when we get back. But by not having a phone booster or a secondary type of sat phone or something, we haven't had any type of contact other than the VHF. So that's been something that did get us a little bit. The thing that I really noticed day 2, 3 onwards is just because you do bulk hours at the helm here, just how comfortable we were the whole time. These seats, they're electric seats, they're an automotive style seat, the seating position versus the helm, where the controls are to where the dash is and how we can control our wipers and everything. Beautiful ventilation through this side window, these massive front windows. We just had the ultimate, I suppose, position to be in for multiple hours and be comfortable in the boat. I've been in a lot of boats where after a period of time you starting to get sore and you get thudded around and it starts to get taxing after a few days, but I just haven't felt that at all in this thing whatsoever. We also found how important it is to have, if you do have some sort of extra stabilization on board. So we don't have a gyro as such, but we do have interstepper style trim tabs, and those trim tabs were just working against the roll off the boat to keep it as level as possible. And it just made that trip a little bit more comfortable, that you're not really rocking and rolling, I suppose. You're out in that ocean swell and you've got something on your side trying to keep the boat level. I think that also helped with our comfort level because we weren't getting knocked around as much. Anything else that you found?
Oh, water. So
yeah.
We went to some remote places, so we weren't in a marina each night. We had 4 guys on board. So it is super important to have a water maker on board, especially if you're going to do a bit of fishing. We don't have a saltwater deck wash on this boat, so we're just using fresh water all the time. And if you're using it out the back, hosing the deck down, showering off the back, obviously you're toileting and everything that goes with that, you're going to chew through the water a lot. So when we're steaming along, nice clean water. We've got the 130 litre Idramar on this one, so that was keeping the tank nice and full. Super important. That was one of my highlights, I guess. Yeah,
the water was amazing, and it's just nice to have a shower at night and just have, it's like an apartment more than a boat. You know, you've got all these creature comforts that you have at home, if not better. But you're in the middle of the ocean. It's pretty special to be a part of that. The other thing I found, which done plenty of in the past, but not doing a lot of boating in this area of Australia, is just plotting the course a little bit in the morning or during the night when you've arrived at your current destination, just to have a really good understanding of what is installed for the next day.
Yeah.
So just consistently checking those weather apps, consistently looking at the map and just making sure that everything's on track, heading in the right direction, and where we do have the most efficient route to get to our next destination. One other thing which we didn't actually speak about, which I found just incredible in this one, is the autopilot. It was unbelievable.
That's that just shows how good the steering systems are on a Maritimo. You spend a lot of time at the helm, so you're looking at all the gauges and what they're doing, and having the autopilot set in a straight line, I think the most I ever saw it veer left to right was maybe 1.5 to 2 meters. It wasn't aggressive when it was off course, especially when you're coming down a swell. Like, this boat is seriously good. It is just so comfortable, especially when you're spending, like you said, bulk hours at the helm. Like, these things are built to do long range cruising and do it in comfort. We've spent 6 days on this boat, and I don't want to get off it. I've had such a good time.
That's the thing. I mean, Maritimo do talk about long range motor yachting, and it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to have simple systems for all our switch panels. There's amazing steering, there's hull performance. You're in this boat for however many nautical miles this trip was. There isn't a creak, a groan. The boat's giving you no feedback whatsoever. It's just happy to do it all day.
They've done a good job.
So very fortunate to be a part of this trip, and We've really enjoyed it, obviously, but it's also been amazing to document it along the way and have the crew on board to look back at this in years to come.
It's been great.